Hey, welcome to Weekday Coronavirus Driven Mind Stuff. My name is George Ortega, and this is Wednesday, June 10th. I have to check. 2020 at 6:28 in the morning. This is episode number 43. And this episode is going to air cablecast later tonight. I didn't get a chance to do the episode yesterday, and so I thought I would do it this morning, and then I have to do another episode tonight for tomorrow, for Thursday. So hope you guys are doing well. Just the lighting a bit more. It's an incandescent light. The other light that I use is a LED strip. Anyway, so I got to talk softly because testing 1, 2, it should work, because it's 6:29 in the morning. I got some sleep, not much. I was playing bass guitar through my headset, of course, night. So what do I want to talk about? Well, it seems like, and this is a very difficult judgment call. I mean, I don't think you can fault people too much for this, but the idea is that some states are reopening, even though the numbers are going up. There's about 19 states whose COVID numbers are going up, and I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see what happens. I think most people, the media hasn't been focused on explaining that it may be the case where we have to open and close several times. Donald McNeil, a science and health reporter for the New York Times, did a podcast on the New York Times, the Daily podcast. And he pretty much, he had spoken to a lot of experts, and he pretty much suggests that 2 or 3 waves is what we should expect. And a more recent assessment by, I believe, the Washington Post suggested, well, this is like, it's not going to go away. It's going to be like HIV or the measles, something that occurs. Let's see. We'll have to see what happens. So what else? People are beginning to turn away from Trump. I think it's like people who vote for Trump aren't the most rational people in the world. And I think what's happening is they're blaming Trump. And actually people who vote for Trump are kind of like somewhat spiritual. I'm not sure they're the most virtuous people, considering their indifference to a lot of people who are suffering. But they have a spiritual nature. The reason I mention this is like a lot of people are turning against Trump now. And while you won't hear the newspapers or TV say it, and it'd be hard to tease this out through a study. It'd have to be a well-designed study, social science study. But my take is that, again, Republicans, conservatives tend to be spiritual in their assessment of things as opposed to rational or objective, evidence-based, like we liberals, Democrats tend to be. And wow, we might blame Trump for not enacting that war powers um, act that would force certain companies to create masks and create testing kits and thermometers and these things that we've been lacking, but it's just, made things worse. And, Trump in the beginning was just like, just not nearly doing what we should have been doing. So while we might blame Trump for that, I think Republicans are beginning to blame him for this happening. And I'm like, I have a very spiritual nature too. I could see that, in other words, like a lot of us voted for Trump. A lot of us didn't fight hard enough, apparently, to prevent that from happening. And the man is so vile, so dangerous, unethical, that this is probably punishment from God. Not only are we distanced, locked down in our homes, not able to go out and all, but the economy has tanked. Unemployment, over 40 million unemployment claims. And yes, I think that probably explains, the change. I mean, like Trump's response to the George Floyd killing certainly isn't helping, and that's probably a major factor too, because people are finally, when generals that like Mattis, I believe it was, or the general who just came out recently and said enough is enough. When respected generals come out like that, Republicans who tend to, respect that kind of authority, they listen. So anyway, so we live in a world of miracles in a way. I mean, like, you're watching this. That's a miracle. I mean, it's not technically a miracle. We understand how it happens, but it is pretty miraculous. And our science is miraculous. And so it could be. I mean, this is just a guess. I mean, like, we can only ever guess. I mean, there are the models that predict what the next month and year would look like under various scenarios, but for most of us, for this, what I'm saying now, it's like, yeah, it could be that like we vote Trump out of office in November, and we also have to vote. We have to punish the Republican Party because it's just not, Trump. I mean, like, this party just lost its mind, lost its moral compass. I think they demonstrated themselves to be cowards. They where we Democrats would fight a dictator, would just like push back, not accept someone like that. The Republicans cowered, they wimped out. They should have been, like Romney. There's a few of them who, I may not agree with some of their policies, but they tend to have, a moral compass. And so, some of them have been coming out against Trump, but yeah, I mean, so I think we need to vote out all these Republicans at all levels of government, because, in the end, it's not just this pandemic, it's climate change. I mean, like, when you want to know something that nobody talks about because it's too frightening to really keep in mind too much, it's that, like, this coronavirus is just like it's a blip compared to climate change. By 2050, if we don't do a lot, if we don't really change the way we create and use energy and a lot of other things, I mean, like, by 2050, New York will be as hot as Florida. I mean, that's, there's a lot of things. And these pandemics, the hotter the temperature, the more likely they are to happen. um, in these factory farms, these large farms. So what else? So yeah, I opened my room last night from 9 to 11, and just by 11 o'clock, I left the room, and I was intending to do this episode then, but apparently I left, because I have a Zoom account, but with a Zoom account, you can only have one room open at a time. Apparently, I pay $15 a month because I handed the room over to somebody. There were a couple of guys who were talking, I just left the room open for them. And then I tried to create to record this episode, and it said, you've got to close the other room before you open this. And this wasn't even like a room that I was intending to invite anyone to. This is just for the purpose of recording this. So whatever. So anyway. It's 20 minutes to 7. I want to go out. I don't really have much. I'd like to go to Target. I'm running out of veganese, and I don't know. I feel like I need to get more kinds of foods. I've been eating curry. I'd never had curry before. Some of these like quote unquote gourmet foods I don't buy much, but like now I find that I can afford some of these things a bit better. So yeah. What else? But I don't know what. I've been playing bass guitar a lot. To kind of like we come out of this, and I might be halfway good at it. And so like, I don't know if I told you, but like, I found this great playlist of psalms, these young kids singing psalms. I think I mentioned it. And then, but I just found this other playlist. I mean, the ones that I was jamming to, they would take a few lines from a psalm and then just like build a song around them. But then I found the Psalms Project playlist where they don't have all the psalms. It's about 150 of them or so. But they have maybe about 40, and different compositions, and then it's nice stuff. It's nice stuff. I mean, like and then I found myself, I can't. I mean, it'd be great if I could immerse myself in that stuff 24/7, but I felt those compositions are of a different, certain genre. They kind of spiritual music, ambient, calm, bit classical, just new age-ish. But I like stuff like Yes, Starship Trooper, and I've seen All Good People, stuff like, I think that was like the early 70s, mid 70s, I think. Amazing stuff. As a matter of fact, I think while this is, so I was jamming before, but I got some sleep, and I'm gonna get some more sleep. I'm doing this now so I can go back to sleep and get more sleep. But I think while this is processing and uploading, because I uploaded, the process takes about 20 minutes. I'm gonna jam to maybe not to I want to jam to Jethro Tull. I don't know. I haven't jammed to Jethro Tull. I've been downloading albums, so I think the title's called Jethro Tull. It's Ian Anderson, I think. I don't know who Jethro Tull is. See, sometimes I can't there's one. It's not Jethro Tull. It's Traffic. There's a song called John Barleycorn Must Die. And it's about killing some guy. And see, that's why I can't why don't play more rock music. I mean, the music is sometimes amazing, but sometimes the lyrics, it's just, I don't want to like jam to like a song about some people, you know, planning and you know, executing someone. I mean, give me a break. So that's why, you know, I have decided it has to go to the spiritual stuff, the Psalms. Although some of the Psalms, I can still, you know, crush my enemy. I mean, like those are the ones I don't like to jam to those either. All right, I figured out like if I ever turn professional as a session musician, I'm going to have to get a guitar that's more expensive than $200 because both of my bass guitars, they each cost $200. And so I guess I'd have to spend maybe $600-700 on, I guess, a Fender. And I don't like the way Fenders look. I don't like their head, you know, tuning head thing, whatever. Yeah, the two guitars I have an Ibanez Micro and a Stag. I love the Stag. The Stag, I think I showed it to you. And I just got it because I needed a 4-string bass. It is such a beautiful guitar. Now it's like, it's not, and you know, I can't understand that color, that violet, I don't know what you call it, but that's going black. I mean, I'm gonna just take a permanent marker because, I mean, if I wasn't a guy, maybe, I don't know, if I was gay, maybe. Anyway, so with the 5-string bass, I figured out, you know, because that particular bass has, and I'm talking, this is what this is supposed to be about. I'm not supposed to be talking about politics all the time. So by now you've probably gotten bored and, you know, like you're not watching, which is like, well, I guess you are watching, but you're saying to yourself, well, why am I watching? And I've convinced you and you've turned this off, but you haven't turned it off yet because you're still watching, but you know, anyway. So yeah, I've got, you know, with that Stag bass, it's got 24 frets because I play a bass like I play lead guitar, very melodic. And those high notes I like to reach. And my Ibanez Micro 5-string bass has 22 frets. But then I realized, you know, like what I'm going to do is like, there's a low B, you know, which is the lowest string on it. I'm going to remove that. And then, you know, it would start with E, A, D, G, and then B bass. I'm gonna I can have a 5th string on that. You know, I'm changing the 5 strings from going below low E to G to low E to C, and that's like the equivalent of like a 25, 30 fret bass. You have all this, you know, that 5th string, you know, and it's got like what, 24 frets on it. It's got 24 frets. It's got 24 higher sounds than, you know. And so I figured that out. I mean, like, so I just, you know, just like did a little research. Apparently I can just get a C string, you know, nickel wound, whatever. I don't know. And the nut, you know, there's grooves in the nut. I'll show you what the nut is. That's this thing here, where like, you know, where the string just goes into the fretboard, and they're slotted, you know, for each one. So like when I rearrange my micros nut, it will have to change, but I'm not a stickler for that. I mean, like, if I get really professional, I suppose I'll, you know, do it myself or have someone redo the nut. You know, so it's, and actually with that one, I have to, no, I should do it myself because I just reminded myself I have to buy a fret file to file down the frets. Sometimes the grooves on those nuts aren't low enough so the action of the strings is low enough. So gotta figure that out. Okay, got about 8 minutes left to go on this. Hope you're enjoying your Wednesday. Now, later today. Oh, so all right. So I know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to attend Rabbi Bronstein's Talmud or Bible class from 8 to 9:30. Sometimes I go to 10, and then I'll, do my episode for tomorrow. That sounds good. So what? So now, what else? I'm definitely, and I'm getting into like I bought a Birnbaum prayer book, and because I'm going to a Reformed synagogue, conservative, Orthodox, Reconstructionist, and they all have different prayer books and stuff. And when I was like practicing Judaism 35 years ago at Hebrew Institute up the road, they used the Birnbaum sitter, so I found one. These things aren't cheap. I found a used one for $15. Some of these are like $50. So, and the other thing, I bought a tallit because like in morning services, they have this shawl, this prayer shawl. And I'm not going to use the tefillin. Tefillin's that little box that, here, and then you wrap it around your arm and stuff. I used to have one, years ago, but see, I'm a vegan, and I know that leather comes from animals that are being abused. So essentially God is telling me, no, you don't have to fulfill that commandment, because that commandment, the way it is now, is based on cruelty. Now, in a few years, they could grow that leather. It has to be the leather of an animal, I guess, a kosher animal. But see, that creates a halakhic, a legal kind of a conundrum. Like if it's the cell of an animal, like a cow that's grown in a lab, does that qualify for being, leather from a kosher animal? Certainly it qualifies for being cruelty-free, which is what I'm concerned with. Because speaking about this COVID-19 again, wake up, people. We've been like torturing animals, 60 billion a year for decades, in factory farms, horrible, beyond horrible conditions. And like, if you believe in God, if you believe in justice, if you believe in karma, and what goes around comes around, I think you can understand that, we've been abusing these animals, and lo and behold, I never say that. I just said it. Lo and behold, we have this this COVID-19, this coronavirus, that came to us, via an animal. It's not, it's kind of like poetic justice, right? But if we want to regain God's graces, I suggest we boot Trump and the Republicans out of office, establish some sanity, some decency, some intelligence in our government again. And, again, the Democrats are far from perfect, so we need to encourage them to understand that if we're going to be pandemic free, and I said this before, can't say it enough, the only way, we're not going to develop a universal vaccine anytime soon. It might happen in 20 or 30 years. But I don't think anyone wants to go through the next 20 or 30 years with more of these pandemics, or even with the fear of these pandemics. And like, from a business standpoint, you can't plan for this stuff. Like, it happens, your business goes under in a lot of cases. So yeah, the sooner somebody's like, I'll tell you, like, I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. And that's like that metaphor. In other words, like, there's another one, like, to kill two birds with one stone. I try not to use these kinds of, there's, in Spanish, there's like there's more than one way to kill a pig. I mean, I don't want to kill two birds with one stone or kill pigs or, anyway, yeah, I lost my train of thought. I don't know why. All right, about 3 minutes left. I think I was still talking about, yeah, if we want to stay safe from pandemics, there's not going to be a vaccine, it's just not going to happen anytime soon. And the only way we'll be safe is to transition from torturing animals for our meat, fish, and dairy and eggs to growing them, in a pandemic-free, pandemic-safe manner in labs. And I mean, it's a no-brainer, and it's a win-win. I mean, like, we do this, and the foods the meats and products we'll create will be far, far healthier than the animal meat we eat now. It won't have the pathogens, the E. coli, the salmonella, won't have the cholesterol. For milk, it won't have the lactose. Many people are lactose intolerant. I mean, there's so many benefits, but people aren't that bright, and you can't blame them. I mean, nobody has a free will. That is a different matter. So, yeah, what else? All right, so anyway, so like a minute and 22 seconds left. Watch this every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock, unless you're working. If you're working and you haven't gotten home yet, catch it on, on the White Plains Community Media website. They archive all these shows there. And, so, all right, well, I'm not going to go through the whole spiel. I say this every end of the episode, but I don't feel like saying it today. And incidentally, I got to talk more about the George Floyd protests. And so I think this is going to take, but I think they need to keep up the protests, and the media has to cover them. I got to, because yeah. All right. So anyway, I hope you are having a good Wednesday. And I'm going to jam. Yeah, I'm going to jam to Jethro Tull while this is processing. And then, once it starts uploading, then I got to send a link to the studio so they can pull it down and show it. Okay, stay safe, be happy, and I'll see you later today, I guess. Bye.